Nung time na yun, sabi ko 30 na ako, ang tanda ko na, parang wala na akong pag-asa. Yung pagiging wealthy or mayaman or well-off, parang napaka-distant na siya sa utak ko. Parang napaka-imposible na niya makuha, guys. Niisip ko noon kung ano yung magiging feedback ng mga relatives ko pag nabalitaan nila na nalugmok ako, di ba? Baga na-bankrupt ka eh. Yung sasabihin ng mga office mates nyo, "What's up, YouTube? Want to hear a cool story?" So imagine this, guys. On the mainstream media, we usually find entrepreneurs and business people being glorified, like having the big houses, a fleet of cars, masaya yung buhay, no worries about money or their business, passive income lang. Parang sobrang perfect ng buhay nila. Everyone is happy to see them. Everybody greets them, "Ma'am, sir, boss." It seems na napakadali niyang ma-attain para sa ordinaryong tao, and all you have to do is reach out and grab that opportunity. When in reality, around 65% of the businesses will fail on their first 15 years. Add mo dyan, 96% of startups fail. So ganun kalaki ng percent ang mga nalulugi. And this data is actually coming from the US. So imagine sa third world country like Philippines, I think mas mahirap yung business conditions dito. So I will not be surprised kung mas mataas ang failure rate ng mga negosyante o negosyo sa Pilipinas. Kaya naman, for the first episode of my Usapang Negosyo series, I will tell you my story and how I lost my life savings sa isang convenience store. So hit subscribe, follow me on my socials, and let's hop into the video. So it started when I was 28, almost 29 years old. I recently just broken up with my ex-fiancé at the time. So we were together for about 6 years, tapos naghiwalay kami. And I have money set aside para lang pang safety net. But at the time, I wanted to keep myself busy and distracted para syempre para hindi mo lagi maisip, right? Sources of income ko that time, guys: financial advisor, buy and sell ng mga sasakyan, saka I also have my 9-to-5 job. Yung 9-to-5 job ko at the time, guys, I was working on a B2B or business-to-business setting. Basically, yung mga familiar dito sa FMCG, ganito yung setup. Usually, a big company has a manufacturing arm. Tapos, meron siya yung sa retail side. Kami yun. Nandun yung marketing, yung supply chain, etc. Yung head office. Tapos, our clients are the biggest retail chains. So, alam nyo na yan, sila SM, sila Pure Gold, and other retail stores. And ang role ko at the time was a key accounts manager. And my primary role was to talk business or talk contracts and trade agreements with the retail chains or the stores. And seeing the success of the retail chains like Robinsons, SM, di ba, yung mga Walter Mart, Pure Gold, SNR, Landers. And I thought to myself, bakit sila lang? Bakit hindi ko kaya itry? Para yung result na nakukuha nila, makuha ko rin. Siguro may konting yabang na rin. Parang how hard can it be? I also know the cost of the goods sold, plus some general knowledge about marketing, supply chain, etc. So I wanted to start. And this decision is one of the biggest mistakes na gagawin ko sa buong buhay ko and will give me a lifelong lesson in business. Simple lang naman yung concept in my mind, guys. Ang sabi ko, convenience store because the footprint will be smaller, yung structure, plus it operates 24 hours, 7 days a week, hindi siya nagsasara, unlike yung mga ordinary na groceries natin. So I think na mas malaki yung chance niya because it's operating all the time for business. Plus, the margins are higher. Tapos para siyang Toyota, lean inventory lang. So we usually don't have a warehouse full of goods. The only items we keep on stock are the fast-moving ones. Plus, it also has the food service aspect to it. And I know that the food service part has a higher profit of margin compared to the grocery goods. After months of scouring for potential location from Manila to Pampanga to Bataan, I finally settled somewhere na malapit sa residence ko, which is somewhere in Caloocan. Nasa main road siya, babaan din ng mga jeep, tapos may papasok, may school na malapit. The foot traffic was also good. I'm getting around 7,000 to 9,000 on a normal day and around 15,000 on a peak day. So we took care of everything, and after around 2 or 3 months, ayan na, ready na. Mag-ooperate na kami. So, ito yung mga na-realize ko na by that time, hindi ko masyadong kino-consider. Pero knowing what I now know, ito yung mga mali. Number 1, the success and failure of a convenience store, or it can also be a restaurant, or any brick-and-mortar stores, ang make or break mo dyan is the location itself. Napaka-highly dependent niya sa lokasyon. Add mo pa dyan, kung hindi ikaw yung may-ari ng location, so you are forced to try magpa-construct, ang dami mong isusuka na pera bago makapagsimula. And even then, you're actually not sure if your contract will be renewed after, say, 3 or 5 years. Ang flip side naman nun, guys, is if nalugi yung business mo nang wala pang 3 to 5 years, either magbabayad ka pa rin ng renta kahit hindi ka na nag-ooperate, or you will have a penalty. So make sure that you have that on your contract with the landowner. Second issue ko will be the permits. So napakaraming permits na kailangan mo. Add mo pa dyan yung construction cost mo, which is more or less mga 1 million. Kung kailangan mong maggiba or mag-retrofit or mag-renovate ng property, so gagastos ka rin sa demolition cost mo. Plus, kailangan mo rin ng upkeep or maintenance because syempre parang bahay lang yan. Stuff will inevitably break. So, kailangan mo siyang ayusin, and with that, mag-incur ka ng additional cost. Third problem ko is that the equipments are quite expensive. So, andyan yung pang-brew mo ng coffee, you have your steamers, you have your freezers, your chillers, or walk-in freezer mo. Yung ilaw ng buong store, I think is around 40 plus na LED tubing. So, isang pirasong pa lang na ganun, medyo mahal na at that time. Tapos, andun na rin yung furnitures mo, like your tables and chairs, your bar display for the liquor, yung mga counter, yung mga gondola. Basically, para ka rin nagfa-furnish ng bahay. So, yung mga yun guys, mabigat-bigat din yun. And dagdag mo doon if you're getting it installment basis, nako, mas malaki yung magagastos mo because there might be an interest. Pero sa akin naman, kinash ko lahat. So, ang learning ko dito guys is yung cost ng mismong structure mo, lahat ng pinagawa mo, lahat ng laman niya, lahat ng equipment. Actually, sa construction, wala ka na magagawa kasi hindi mo naman pwedeng baklasin yung mga pinalagay mo doon. Tapos yung kontrata mo doon sa renta, pagka nalugi ka, hindi mo naman pwedeng kuhanin yung mga advances mo. And then third, doon sa equipment, yes, mabebenta mo pa rin naman siya. Pero for example, binili mo yung equipment ng around 30,000, expect na around 25% na lang nun yung value niya pagka binenta mo. Lalo na pag nagmamadali kang mag-egress. Which is ganun yung nangyari sa akin. At the time na nalulugi na ako, wala rin naman akong warehouse where I can store the equipment. So, napilitan talaga ako ibenta lang sila for pennies on the dollar or sobrang baba lang ng cost. Rent was also expensive guys. I was paying around below 40,000 that time for 3 commercial units plus isang bodega. So, ganun kamahal. Renta pa lang yun Renta pa lang per month. Ganun na kalaki. In terms of manpower, I think around that time, ang per guard is around 17,000. So, you have one for the day and one for the night. If you want to have guards round the clock, so you need to spend at least 34,000 per month. Add to that, the salary of the staff. So, it depends on how many staff you have. Maybe you can get away with 2 or 3 per shift. Usually, 3 shift yan. So, compute mo na lang kahit sa minimum na lang. Kunwari sabihin mo 600, 650. Times 3 mo siya, tapos times 3 mo ulit. So, ganun kalaki yung gastos mo sa manpower. So, yun. Ganun kalaki ang gagastosin mo sa payroll. Plus, ang next na naging problem ko is it operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, you do not get to have days off. And as a new business owner, and if someone has a business, kung ikaw nakikinig ka sa video na to and you're planning to have your own business or your first business or you're operating your business na mga 1, 2, 3 months pa lang, wag mo siyang iiwanan or ipagkakatiwala kung kani-kanino. Kasi your business is your baby. Hindi mo siya kaagad ipagkakatiwala sa iba't ibang tao not until alam mo na kaya na niyang tumayo sa sarili ng paa. So, parang bata lang. You need to make sure that the business is strong enough to be delegated to the right people or groups of people bago mo siya iwan. One of the worst mistakes yan. Especially guilty dito yung mga OFW natin. Akala ng karamihan is pagka nabuo ko na yung negosyo tapos napagkatiwala ko na sa ibang tao, passive income na. Maling-mali yan guys. Okay, moving on to the power cost. So, utilities natin, you have your electricity which is yung pinakamahal. Your internet because the CCTVs needs internet for them to work. And then you have your water. Sa water, hindi masyado magastos guys. CCTV, yung internet, okay naman yan because you need to have a plan lang naman. Isang plan lang yan. And magagamit din naman talaga yon. Yung next mo is yung power cost or yung electricity cost mo. Napakalaki na to guys, sobra. Kasi imagine kung ilang square meters. For example, kunwari 90 or 100 square meters yung selling area mo. Tapos, imagine mo yung typical convenience store. Di ba yung wall niya is made of glass? And usually yung glass na yun, hindi naman sobrang kakapal na glass. Medyo manipis lang. So, yung init galing sa labas, na-absorb. Kaya yung aircon mo, halos talagang hindi na namamatayan. 24 hours yan. Kung papagpahingay mo yung isa umaandar pa rin. Hindi mo talaga siya pwedeng patayin kasi sobrang init yan. Magiging microwave yan sa loob guys. Sobrang init pag walang aircon. Add mo na dito yung ice cream machine mo, yung chillers, yung steamers, yung freezers. Lahat basically ng kumakain ng electricity. Add mo pa doon yung, imagine mo yung nasa isang structure lang, no? Nasa isang building or isang space lang lahat na equipment na to. Tapos, yung init na ini-emit ng mga chiller, kailangang tangkiin or kailangan palamigin ulit ng mga aircon units mo. So, kaya talagang grabe yung demand na sa kuryente. Around that time, between 36,000 ako per month sa kuryente. Ganun kalaki nagagastos ko. And even then, hindi pa nga siya sobrang lakas ng aircon. Talagang sakto lang naman palamig ko ng konti. Hindi ko sinasagad yung aircon para maging sobrang lamig, ganun. Kasi nagtitipid nga ako sa kuryente. But even then, ganun kalaki yung gastos ko sa electricity cost. I forgot to tell you, yung 24/7 operation mo, since nandun ka lagi sa store, it will take its toll on you. Kasi day in, day out, nandun ka ilang shifts yan. Minsan di ka makatulog kasi you're monitoring your sales, your people, your stocks, your inventory. Talagang grabe, parang hindi nagto-turn off yung utak mo. Talagang lagi siyang gumagana. And it's mentally draining talaga guys. I salute people that can make this type of business work. Whether if swinerte lang sila or hindi, napaka-demanding na talaga guys. And add to this, the type of customers that you will have during the wee hours of the morning or during the midnight. Usually, these are the types of people that are either drunk or medyo sketchy yung behavior nila. Hindi siya iba talaga. The types of buyers that you get sa madaling araw, ibang-iba sila sa mga bumibili sa'yo sa umaga. Mapapansin mo yan pag if you go to a convenience store ng medyo this oras ng gabi, iba yung mga taong nandun. Unlike sa umaga, usually mga anak, saka yung parents, ganyan, mga office people. Pagka talaga madaling araw, iba yung pakiramdam. Next problem is that your inventory is quite diverse. And add to that, since marami kang item na fresh produce kasi you also have your food service, di ba? A lot of these things are perishable. So, hindi naman pwedeng naluto na yung mga siomai or yung mga hotdogs, ganyan, tapos ibabalik mo ulit sa freezer. Wala na yun. Pag naligay mo na sa steamer yon, it can only last for a couple of hours dun sa steamer. Tapos parang ano siya, mushy yung texture niya. So ang hirap maghanap ng supplier for them. Tapos there's the cost of keeping them kasi frozen siya lagi. Andyan yung spoilage. Tapos meron ding possible na damaged goods. And also yung high value items mo like yung alcohol and tobacco mo and even the batteries. Prepare yourself na hindi maiwasan nagkakaroon ng pilferation dose. Tapos, dagdag mo pa dito yung competition with the big companies. By the way, the convenience store I had, ako lang talaga, nag-conceptualize. So, hindi ako nag-franchise kasi alam ko mahal yun. Pero at the same time, these franchises, yung iba may franchisee, okay, may nag-ooperate na tao na, syempre, kumuha ng franchise from the mother company. But there are also stores that are being operated by the corporate itself. Meaning, they are being backed by big companies. So for example, kunwari may store ka dito tapos tinapatan ka or isang kanto or dalawang kanto, may tumapat sa'yo, kunwari Alphamart tapos 7-Eleven tapos Pure Gold, ganyan. These types of businesses that have a backing from the giant corporations, sometimes they operate for around 2, 3 or a couple of years na kahit break-even lang sila or even operating at a loss kasi they are banking dun sa development ng lugar. Pero as a small business owner, like me or like some people that are watching this video, ang hirap nun kasi you can't really shell out money day in, day out. Kumbaga parang nagsusunog ka ng pera for a couple of months. Minsan, ilang taon pa yan na nagsusunog lang ng pera just to be able to operate. So this is actually our competition, guys. Napakahirap manalo against them. Kaya naman before you start, you have to consider what will happen if ilang buwan na walang income yung store ko, or what if 1 year walang income yung store ko, or maybe for a couple of months malakas yung store mo kaya nagtayo ng competitor sa tapat mo and this competitor is being backed by for example Alphamart. So paano yung gagawin mo? You have to ask yourself that. Dapat meron kang plan B. Next issue is that the margins are actually razor thin. Sobrang baba ng margins. Even if the typical markup for some of the highest grossing SKUs will be around 30%, I think, more or less. Ang hirap pa rin yung pakitain. Kasi pagka dinedak mo na all of your input dun sa profit mo, input plus your expenses, idedak mo lahat na sa profit mo, usually you're going home with just around 3% margin. Napakaliit nun, guys. Wala siyang safety cushion kapag may nangyaring problem or may nangyaring masama or biglang humina yung business mo. In reality, meron naman talaga mga stores na kumikitain. Pag kumita talaga, if sobrang ganda talaga ng mga pwesto nila, talagang pataas ang kita nila. But for the majority, halos bawi lang din yung capital. Let's say for example, you're shelling out 3 or 4 million. More or less mabawi mo yan mga 5 or 6 years. Tapos doon ka pa lang kikita after that. And for the bottom stores naman, usually you're operating at a loss month in, month out. The only months na kikita ka will during the peak season. Like say for example, your summer or your Burr months or baka nga yung halos December na months mo na lang, doon ka na lang kumikita. And the profit you made for those, kailangan i-balance mo siya kasi ilang buwan na naman ulit na mag-ooperate ka na walang kita. And yung pinaka-risky talaga na hindi ko nagustuhan sa ganitong klaseng negosyo is yung security. So, for my store na hold up siya, so napasok siya. Thankfully, no one got hurt naman. I think malit lang yung price nung nakuha. Pero after nan, parang i-place with your psyche. I'm sure makaka-relate dito yung mga may-ari ng mga physical stores na na-experience na din itong problem na to. Hindi mo kasi may isip to beforehand ma-realize mo na lang siya pag nag-ooperate na talaga yung store mo. Kasi before you invest into these things, napaka-idealistic talaga na isip mo yun. Parang walang magiging mali doon sa naisip mong negosyo. Maisip mo lang talaga to pagka nangyari na siya or feeling mo mangyayari na siya. So in the end guys, yun, there was 30 years old, lahat ng pinaghirapan ko simula nag-fresh grad ako, pinag-ipunan ko hanggang 30 years old ako, ubos talaga lahat. Said talaga guys, baon pa ako sa utang because some of my suppliers binigyan ako ng line of credit. So talagang walang-wala guys. Honestly, it took me around 1 year to pay them all off. And then that was also the time na sobrang lakas ko mag-yosi, kape ako ng kape. My health was really deteriorating and talagang kitang-kita sa akin na parang ako tumanda ng parang 10-20 years sa sobrang stress and pagka-dismaya kasi talagang lugmok ako nung time na yun guys. Mahirap talaga. Sa sobrang depressed mo parang kang zombie, parang hindi mo na maiisip kung kakain ka na ba, magpapahinga ka na ba, matutulog ka na ba, wala kang ginagawa pero feeling mo pagod na pagod ka kasi hindi tumitigil yung utak mo ng kakaisip. Nagsisisi ka sa mga nangyari. Imagine 30 years old, parang feeling mo loser ka talaga, parang nasa bottom ka ng food chain kasi nawala yung long-term relationship mo, tapos nawala din yung pera mo, yung pinag-ipunan mo, buong buhay mo nawala, tapos ang dami mo bang utang, meron kang mga negosyo before na hininto mo para doon, tapos pati yung trabaho mo, iniwan mo pa yung career mo, na sana okay na sana, iniwan mo din just for that. Ngayon, back to zero ka, so hindi mo alam kung may tatanggap pa ba sa'yo kasi matanda ka na. Hindi mo ma-justify kasi baka sabihin nila magpipit ka lang ulit dahil baka pag nagkapera ka magnenegosyo ka na naman. So yun yung mga iniisip ko at the time. Talagang sising-sisi ako, kumbaga. Etong mga time na rin na to, and I'm sure makaka-relate dito yung mga negosyanteng kagaya ko na nanonood nito. You also start to question your life choices. Even ako, inisip ko noon, dapat nung bata ako, nag-aaral lang ako, nagpa-nerd na lang ako. Baka nagkamali rin ako ng choice na course nung college, dapat nag-abroad na lang ako. Dapat naging masaya na lang ako before sa company ko, hindi na ako umalis. Nung time na yun, sabi ko, 30 na ako, ang tanda ko na, parang wala na akong pag-asa. Yung pagiging wealthy or mayaman or well-off, parang napaka-distant na siya sa utak ko. Parang napaka-imposible na niya makuha, guys. Niisip ko noon kung ano yung magiging feedback ng mga relatives ko pag nabalitaan nila na nalugmok ako, di ba? Baga nabankrupt ka eh. Yung sasabihin ng mga office mates nyo. Kunwari kayo that are viewing this video, iniisip mo yung mga office mates mo ngayon, pag nag-business ka, yayaman ka, mababalitaan nila, sisikat ka, sobrang lahat magiging ideal. Pero at the same time, you also have to think, paano pag hindi? So, nung time na yun, parang ganun eh, nako-conscious ako na anong iisipin nila sa akin, ang laking failure ko in life. And lahat ng yun, wala namang may kasalanan kundi ako eh. Because I was the one that decided to go into business and to risk my money for it. Buti na lang talaga yung family ko was there for me. At the end of the day, kahit papano may uuwian akong bubong, 'di ba? Hindi ako matutulog sa kalsada. Kahit papano yun na lang, okay na ako doon. And naisip ko at that time, okay na ako. Ayoko na mangarap. Magtatrabaho na lang ako 9 to 5, 6 days a week. Makikipagsiksikan habang nagko-commute. Siksikan sa MRT, bus ng 2 oras or 1.5 oras papunta tapos pabalik. So basically parang half day na. Kaka-commute mo pa lang. Hindi ka pa nakakapasok, pawis na pawis ka na. Bago ka makauwi ng bahay nyo, sa sobrang pagod mo, nakakatulog ka na sa bus. Sabi ko, okay na ako dyan. Working from 30 to 60 years old. Tapos by the time that you are 60, you will get a retirement na mga nasa 1 million pesos, more or less. Alam ko, hindi kakasya yun eh. Kasi sa dami na maging expenses mo pag senior ka na. Pero there I was, i-accept ko na yun. So okay na ako. Magtatrabaho na lang ako. Of course, it couldn't be further from the truth and what happened during the next couple of years. So guys, yung learnings ko from the time na yun, nalugmok talaga ako doon, I will carry them over into my future businesses and makakatulong yon on how I decide on things. Parang feeling ko para akong boxer. Kumbaga, natuto ka ng dumipensa pag sinusuntok ka. Alam mo nang i-defend yung businesses mo and alam mo na yung diskarte. Hindi naman perfect, pero more or less alam mo na yung paano yung atake sa negosyo. And sobrang helpful nun. Plus, it's not really taught on schools. Maraming business schools dyan. Pero hindi naman talaga business people or entrepreneurs yung mga professors. So, iba yung theory, pero iba yung actual. Lalo na sa nangyayari ngayon, guys. Kasi, ang bilis mag-iba ng merkado or yung galaw ng market. Especially if you're operating within the digital or online world. Napakabilis ng changes, guys. But the learnings I made that time, kahit gaano pa siya kahirap, it helped me build a multi-7-figure net worth. Kaya naman, if you like the storytelling mode, let me know. Because on the next video, I'll be discussing the things that I learned with this problem or this bankruptcy that helped me build a multi-7-figure net worth. So if you're still here, hit subscribe. Follow me on my socials. John Mac here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.